Hello students, this is Dr. Lorenzo, and this video is all about using APA 7th edition. It's a rather lengthy video, but it will give you basically all the information you need to be successful in using APA 7th edition in your essays and research. Now, this information is not just important for this class. Any class that you take going forward in the medical field requires that you master APA 7th edition in-text citations, references, everything, formatting essays. It all requires that you know this stuff really well. So it's important for you to do everything you can to master it, and I'm going to do the best I can to help you out. What we will be covering here is at first reviewing a sample APA 7th edition essay for correct formatting. And then we will then move on to a broad overview of APA 7th edition. We'll define quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. We'll discuss APA 7th edition in-text citation basics. We'll discuss parenthetical and narrative in-text citations in the quote sandwich. We'll also develop an APA plan, and then we'll finish with using citation engines. Now, it's very important for you to know that although I'm providing this video and the accompanying slides to help you out, you can find everything you want to know about APA 7th edition in the Carrington Library. And the way to get to the library is to maneuver over to the left menu there, the dark blue, when you'll see it says Help in Library. And when you access it, you'll come to this page. And then you just go to Writing Papers at Carrington. And once you click on that, it will give you all the information you ever want to know about using APA 7th edition. They've got sample essays here. They've got tutorials. There are videos, quite a few videos as a matter of fact. So the information is there for you. I'm just putting it in a different format. So if you don't want to watch this video, you don't have to. You can just go right to the library, and the library is an excellent source for learning about APA 7th edition. So let's move on. So first we'll start with the sample essay, just so you know what a finished essay should look like. And there's a copy of this in Canvas announcements. And we'll start at the top. Of course, it's not going to say sample APA essay, including title page on it. I just included that just to note what it is. But you must always start with your page number. You format your page numbers, of course, in Microsoft Word. And it's very easy to do. If you need help formatting or setting your page numbers there, then all you need to do is just Google setting page numbers in Microsoft Word, and it'll tell you how to do it. But the page number starts or begins in the upper right-hand corner of the header. And then you have your title page. Your title page should be separate from the rest of your essay. It has its own page. And the title of your essay should be on top, and it should be in bold. But the rest of the text on the title page should not be in bold. It starts with your name, the name of the school, the course name, and then your professor's name, whether they be a professor or a doctor. It is important that you include the proper title for your professor. If they're a professor and have not become a PhD or a doctor, then you just go with professor. If they are a doctor, you start with doctor. You should never just use your instructor's first and last name. Instructors do a lot to earn their titles, and you should respect that by making sure you call them that. And then you finish with the date. Then your essay starts on the next page. Now, your essay should start at the top of the next page, not down in the middle, not a quarter of the way down. And you can start your essay with repeating your title up top if you like to. APA 7th edition formatting requires that the first line of each paragraph be half-inch indented. And you can do that by setting up your defaults in Microsoft Word so that your papers are always half-inch indented. And if you don't know how to do that, you can just Google Microsoft Word setting up APA 7th edition, and then you'll find sources in there to help you do that. It also requires, APA 7th edition also requires that your essay is double-spaced, not single-spaced, double-spaced. And although APA 7th edition gives you a few choices for the type of font you're allowed to use, for my classes and for a lot of the other classes you'll find, professors and doctors require that you use Times New Roman 12-point font. And as you can see, this paper is structured with Times New Roman 12-point font. Notice also that when you go to the next paragraph, there is no extra space between the paragraphs. There should be no more space between the paragraphs than the double space you have between the lines. You can go in, you can do a new title if you want to. It should not be bold. In other words, a new title of the next paragraph, but it doesn't have to be in bold. Matter of fact, it shouldn't be in bold. If you take a look, this paper is structured exactly the way I'm telling you, and your paper should look like this when you turn it in. Now, this right here is a long quote, and they're just showing you how to post a long quote. Very few of your papers in this part of your education should require long quotes. So I really wouldn't worry about it. But the rule is if your quote is 40 words or more, then it needs to be set up this way, also called a block quote. And that means that you indent it another ½ inch on both sides, and that it is still double spaced, but as you can see, it's separate from the regular text. Finally, we go to, and again, as I said, you can title all of your different sections of your essay if you want to, and the rest of the titles can be in bold. We'll finish up with your reference page, and here's what I want you to concentrate first. Notice on the reference page, the first line is not indented, but every succeeding line is indented. So if this was a 10-line reference, which let's see if we have one a little bit longer down here. I don't think they give us any longer ones down here to see. No, but if it was a 10-line reference, okay, then only the first line would not be indented, and every line after that would be indented. So it should look like this. First line not indented, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth line, if there are second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth line, should not be indented. That's what your reference page should look like. I'd advise that before you turn in any paper, you go to Canvas Announcements, take a look at this template again, and make sure that your work is templated, or rather is formatted in the same manner. All right, let's move on. All right, so we're going to watch this video that talks about the basics of APA style. So please pay close attention.
The Style Guide issued by the American Psychological Association, or the APA, is one of the common formatting styles in academic writing. Despite its name, APA style is used in a variety of academic disciplines, as it's designed to be clear and easy to follow. This is certainly a plus when faced with organizing a paper. This video will cover citing sources in the text, as well as in the reference page of a piece, utilizing APA formatting. An in-text citation is a source being cited within the body of a paper. In-text citations are needed to show the reader where you got the information you're using in the piece. If there's no citation, the reader assumes the information came from you. In academic writing, this is seen as a form of plagiarism or taking credit for work that is not your own. Two pieces of information are needed for an in-text citation when summarizing information from the source: the last name of the author and the year of publication. There are two common ways of making an in-text citation. The first is to mention the name of the author within the sentence, while the year of publication is in parentheses like this. According to Smith, 2012, laughing helps a person conquer the hiccups. The second way of doing an in-text citation is to cite the information, then put both the author and the publication year in parentheses. Laughter is believed to be a way to conquer the hiccups. Smith, 2012. If, instead of summarizing the information from the source, you will be using a direct quote, you will also need the page number on which the quote can be found in your in-text citation. According to Smith, 2012, quote, laughter was successful in curing hiccups almost 70% of the time, end quote, page 822. If the author is not cited in the introductory phrase, the citation for a direct quote would look like this. Smith, 2012, page 822. The big thing to remember is that when using a direct quote, make sure the page number the quote can be found on is a part of the in-text citation. The reference page is the page that lists all of the sources used within your paper. The references should be placed in alphabetical order according to the author's last name. All lines in the entry after the first line should be indented 1/2 inch from the margin. When creating your reference page, you will need additional pieces of information from your citation. What information is needed will depend on the type of reference you're using. This video will cover the two most common types of references in academic writing, journal articles and books. When creating a reference entry for a journal article, you will need the name of the author, the year the article was published, the name of the article, the name of the journal, the volume and issue number of the journal, the pages on which the article can be found, and the DOI or Digital Object Identifier if available. A journal article citation would look like this: Smith, A.B., 2012, The Best Cure for Hiccups, The Journal of Everyday Cures, 5/13, 802 to 850. The first part of the citation is the author's last name, followed by the first and middle initial. Next is the year the journal article was published, put into parentheses, followed by period. Then we have the full name of the article. Note that this is a citation for an article that does not have a DOI. Remember to capitalize only the first word of the article and any proper nouns. After the name of the article is the name of the publication. The name of the publication should be capitalized as well as put into italics. A comma follows the name of the article, then the volume number, then the issue number in parentheses. A comma follows the parentheses, then the page numbers on which the article can be found. Finally, after the page number is a period. If there's more than one author, include each author's last name and first and middle initial. Make sure to list the authors in the order in which their names appear in the article. For authored books, the information needed for the reference page is the name of the author, the year of publication, the title of the book, the name of the publisher, and the DOI if applicable. Here's an example of an authored book entry in the reference page. Smith, A.A., 2012, The Best Cure for Hiccups, The Inside Story, Made Up Publishing Company. Again, note that this citation is for a book without a DOI. The first piece of information we need is the name of the author. Next, we see the year the book was published in parentheses, and then a period. Next is the title of the book in italics. Only the first word of the title and any proper names are capitalized. If there is a subtitle, it will follow a colon, and the first word of the subtitle is capitalized, along with any proper nouns. Finally, write the name of the publishing company followed by a period. If a book has more than one edition, make sure to cite the edition that you read and add it in parentheses after the title, but not in italics, like this. Smith, A.A., 2012, The Best Cure for Hiccups, The Inside Story, 2nd edition, Made Up Publishing Company. If there's more than one author, cite each author in the order that their names appear on the cover of the book. Let's review. The style guide issued by the American Psychological Association, or the APA, is one of the common formatting styles in academic writing. An in-text citation is a source being cited within the body of a paper and requires the last name of the author and the year of publication. The reference page lists all of the sources used in alphabetical order by the author's last name. Journal article citations need the name of the author, the year the article was published, the name of the article, the name of the journal, the volume and issue number of the journal, the pages on which the article can be found, and the DOI or Digital Object Identifier. Authored book citations need the name of the author, the year of publication, the title of the book, the name of the publisher, and the DOI. For more tips on APA formatting, including how to cite other kinds of sources on your reference page, be sure to check a recent APA style guide. Happy citing!
So I understand that, all of this can be very, very confusing. However, believe me, after you get used to it, just the first, 2 or 3 essays, you'll get pretty good at it. But still, let me try to simplify this a little bit more. As you noticed in the video, the narrator mentioned that formatting a book citation and reference is different than the way you format a journal book. Or a journal citation and reference. And by the way, if it's a website or if it's a YouTube video, those are formatted in other manners. So let's take a look at an easy way to determine how you might format various sources and also additional information about APA. Poster provides some additional information. It starts with how to format your paper. Now, it gives you various ways of doing it. So when you format your paper, as I said earlier, I prefer that you use Times New Roman 12-point font, and other instructors may give a little bit more flexibility. However, make sure you use whatever font your instructor directs you to use. APA can be a little bit flexible in its guidelines because it gives professors the ability to do things in the way they want them done. And formatting can be is one of those things that APA allows flexibility in. But there's no flexibility in the way your instructor wants your paper submitted. So make sure that you always ask: are we to use 12 Times New Roman 12-point font, or are we to use 10-point Arial font? Most instructors prefer Times New Roman 12-point font, so it's a good idea to start off with that. The formatting also talks a little bit about the title page. Not going to go into this a little bit more because I gave you, I showed you the template, and we have that template posted in Canvas announcements, and so you know that already. Let's get to the in-text citation. It tells you a few different things. First of all, if you're working with one or two authors on the in-text citation, then you go both of the authors' last names, and you follow with the, this is if you're introducing a quote, you follow with the year of the publication. This would be for the beginning of a sentence or a paragraph. That's called a narrative in-text citation. I'll just explain that a little bit in a minute. And then the in-text citation, which is usually at the end of a quote or at the end of a summarized or source, you use both authors' last names, but you use the and symbol, okay, or the ampersand is what it's called, comma plus the year. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but here's something that's important. If there are 3 or more authors, you don't include all those names in your narrative in-text citation or your parenthetical in-text citation. You instead, you substitute all the other authors' last names with the term et al, et space al period. And you start with the first author's last name. So Gutierrez et al, and then the year published. And then when you do the in-text citation or the parenthetical in-text citation, you do the same thing, comma with the year published. And notice that's in parentheses. So I'd advise you to take a look at this card because it gives you some important information. And you can just understand that if you're citing a source within your essay and there's 17 authors, putting all those names in your paper or in your in-text citation is going to really disturb the flow of your paper. And so this is why they do that. This other part of the card, it just gives you some basics about, if there's more than one author. It tells you how to do a book, a YouTube video, a podcast, a tweet, or a page on a website. It gives you various ways of doing it, okay? I've also provided another reference guide to use. And the reason I'm providing so many of them, or more than one, is one may be easier for you to understand because of your learning style than the other one. So I just want to give you as many resources as possible so that you can utilize it to concentrate on your type of learning style, so that you get this information. Now let's talk about when do you use citations. Quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. Of course, a quotation is when you use identical text to the original using a narrow segment of the source, and you use quotation marks. It must be cited. When you paraphrase, a paraphrase involves putting a passage from a source material into your own words, and the paraphrase should be cited. It's usually shorter than the original passage. Then summarizing means involving putting the main ideas into your own words, including the main point, and it's usually longer. However, it must be cited. You must use citations in quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. By the way, when you're researching or when you're writing a research paper, almost everything you're writing, with the exception, okay, of your introductory paragraph, but your body paragraphs are based upon something you research, okay? You don't do research, you don't write a research paper based upon what you know. Research papers are based upon what you have learned. And you have to tell the reader where you learned it, okay? So even if you have a paragraph with no quotations whatsoever, you still have to provide a citation to tell the reader where you learned that information from. So you should never turn in a paper or an essay or even a discussion post that does not have an in-text citation plus references. Let's define what I said the words earlier, and maybe the words went over your head. Parenthetical and narrative in-text citation, okay? Parenthetical citations put the authors and the publication name inside brackets or quotation marks, and they're usually found at the end of a quote or paraphrase or summary. So an example here is this author has taken a quote from a source. Contemporary architectural systems still use dynamic concepts, and they finish it with a parenthetical in-text citation by including the author's last name, comma, and the year published. Now, if this citation or this source was a book, then after Mosley, comma, 2016, it would Mosley, comma, 2016, comma, the page number. If it was a web page, it would be Mosley, comma, 2016, comma, the paragraph number that quote came from. So it would be PARA and whatever the paragraph number was. Right? Narrative in-text citation. A narrative in-text citation is usually found at the beginning of a quote or the beginning of a citation, and it begins by using the author's last name and then in parentheses the year published. If there's two authors, it would be the two authors, Mosley and whoever that author was. If there would be three or more, it'd be Mosley et al. And then the year published, 2016, in parentheses. And then you move on with presenting the quote, or introducing the quote. Contemporary architectural systems still use dynamic concepts, and you finish with just the page number from where that quote came from. In reality, the page number should have been in this first one in the parenthetical also. I don't know why they didn't do it that way, but in reality, it should have been there also. Now let's talk about a quote sandwich. A quote sandwich is where you simply you have a quote. You're going to introduce it by telling the reader the authors of that quote, okay, and then you place the quote somewhere after that introduction, and then you explain the quote or you summarize it once the quote is finished. So let's take a look at the source here. We've got a source from Cowie and Myers. And by the way, most all of you should have seen this in English 101. You have a source from Cowie and Myers. And so the source is, so this is like a reference right here. This is just the reference that's found at the end of your essay. Then we have a direct quote. And so the direct quote, basically, is placed here, and then the year published, or rather the page where it came from, is placed in parentheses afterwards. That is called a parenthetical in-text citation. In reality, it should have the author, it should have Cowie and Myers, okay, comma, page 64, in there. Then we have the quote sandwich. Quote sandwich begins with introducing the authors according to Cowie and Myers, followed by a narrative in-text citation, which is the year published, the quote, and after the quote, they have the page number. You don't need the author's names in the parent. And by the way, the end quote is called the parenthetical in-text citations. We don't need the author's name there because we've already mentioned the author's name at the beginning. And then it's finished with the writer explaining what that quote meant. Let's move forward. I'm going to play this very short video about how to introduce quotes using APA. This was using APA or MLA, so understand it's not specific to APA, but it is discussing how to introduce quotes.
Oh, hi everyone. This is David. Hey, thanks for dropping by the classroom for this short lesson on quotations. How to use direct quotations effectively in your own writing. Throughout today's lesson, try to keep one thing in mind, and that thing is this. Quotations make great additions to your writing. Hey, don't believe me? Check out what some of the other experts say. For example, Purdue University's online writing lab, Citation 2010, says about quotations, they serve many purposes. One of the most important is to add support to your claims. Hey, what just happened? I gave you an opinion of mine. But then I backed up that opinion. I backed up my claim by giving a quotation from another expert, from an authority, to give my opinion credibility, to give it depth. So what I'd like to do in this lesson is to analyze this example to show you 3 techniques that I'd like for you to employ whenever you use direct quotations in your writing. And those 3 techniques are, number 1, introduce your quotation. In other words, a quotation should not seem like it simply dropped out of the sky and landed in your paragraph. You want to integrate that quotation into your own paragraph by using a signal phrase or speaker tag. Our signal phrase in this case is Purdue University's online writing lab says about quotations. Other signal phrases that are common are according to Jane Doe, as Jane Doe explains, as one critic points out, John Doe believes that, etc., etc. Now, technique number 2, be sure to cite your quotation accurately. No matter what style guide you're using, APA, MLA, Chicago, etc., whenever you use a source in your writing, it must be cited accurately. And technique number 3, follow up on the direct quotation. Here you see that we have provided a transition sentence that helps to weave the direct quotation into the fabric of the paragraph so that its purpose and its use and its place is clear to our readers. Okay, to summarize, be sure to use 3 simple techniques. Introduce the quote, cite the quote, follow up on the quote. Use those 3 things and you'll be employing the voices of other writers in your writing effectively. Okay, thanks for dropping by. I'll see you later.
All right, very informative video, so let's move on. So this is a quote from me. Try to remember it if you can. It'll make your life a lot easier when you're writing papers. A parenthetical in-text citation, the parenthetical in-text citation, remember, is the in-text citation at the end. It follows a quote, a summary, summarizing or paraphrasing. But a parenthetical in-text citation doesn't require a narrative in-text citation. Remember, the narrative in-text citation is the citation that introduces a quote. But a sentence with a narrative in-text citation must always end with a parenthetical in-text citation. So in other words, if you introduce the quote with a narrative in-text citation, you gotta finish up with where that either direct quote, paraphrase, or summary came from. All direct quotes, quote sandwiches, paraphrases, and summarizing must be cited using parenthetical or narrative in-text citations. Anything you write, any essay you write or discussion you write in a research course, of English 101, English 102, or and also in other courses, all right, are based upon information you learned, information you read. So if there's a question with a discussion, they ask you this or that or whatever, what you're to do instead of just remembering or just going from your memory of something you know to answer the question, you have to go read something. And then you have to tell the reader what you read, what you read in order to help you formulate your answer. All answers are based upon something that you have read or researched. So it must be cited. This video is about APA basics, and so we're going to start talking about right now about how to create citations. And so this is a really good place for us to start. So again, let's watch this video from beginning to end.
An in-text citation concisely identifies the source of information or ideas. It helps the readers to locate the corresponding entry in the reference list at the end of your paper. You should include an in-text citation every time you paraphrase or quote from a source. In this video, you'll learn how to use in-text citations according to the APA Style 7 Edition guidelines. I'll explain what information to include, how to integrate it in a sentence, and what to do with multiple authors and missing information. Hi, I'm Jessica from Scribbr, here to help you achieve your academic goals. The in-text citation always consists of the author's last name and the publication year, no matter the source type. If you're citing a specific part of a source, also include a locator. For books, this is usually a page number. For videos, a timestamp. And for web pages, you may use a paragraph number or heading. You only need to include a page number when you're using a direct quote. To keep your in-text citations correct and consistent, you can use Scribner's free citation generator. Just click and paste. It's that easy. Now, you can integrate your in-text citation into a sentence using either parenthetical or narrative citation. For parenthetical citations, write the author name and publication year within parentheses. These are usually placed at the end of the sentence, just before the period. For narrative citations, the author's name appears naturally within a sentence. Place the publication year directly after the author's name, like the example here. When your source has multiple authors, a maximum of 2 authors are included in the in-text citation. If there are more, you use et al., which means and others. For a source with 2 authors, you use an ampersand between them, followed by the year. So here, it's Harris & Cook, 2020. When your source has 3 or more authors, simply take the first author's last name and add et al., publication year. If your institution follows the APA 6th edition, it's a little bit different. Check out this video here. What if the source you're using is missing some key information? Let's take a look. If the author is unknown, but you know the organization that created it, in this example, it's Tesla, then you should use the organization name. If you don't, then use the title. When using the title, format it the same way as in the reference list, so either in italics or in double quotation marks, and always use title case capitalization. If the title is long, it's shortened in the in-text citation. You might also come across sources without a publication year. In that case, use ND for no date. If you're quoting a specific passage, but your source doesn't have page numbers, include an alternative locator such as a timestamp, chapter, or paragraph number instead. We've covered the basics of in-text citation and some of the common exceptions. There are a few more, such as when you're citing works from 2 different authors with the same last name or several works from the same author in the same year. In these situations, the in-text citation may be ambiguous. Check our article to learn what to do. Make sure to click this playlist to watch more about APA 7. I'll see you there!
By the way, that video came from the library, and the articles and videos she was referring to can also be found in the library. So the library is a very good source. Let's move on. I've provided here some additional videos that I'm not going to show right now, and there's content that follows this video that I won't show. However, these slides will be posted along with this video, so you can work on this on your own. This video, the next video after, and the following content gives you a way to create an APA 7th edition workflow. It also shows you how to use citation engines to post citations. Now, I think the video she mentioned also using Scribner's citation engine. Here we've got Zotero and EasyBib. Utilizing citation engines is a great way to make sure that your citations are formed correctly. However, if you don't know what a parenthetical in-text citation is, you don't know what a narrative in-text citation is, you don't know when to use them, then a citation engine is useless to you because you're still not going to do well on your paper. This is why I've preceded these citation engines with the information about defining APA 7th edition, defining narrative, in-text, quotation, direct quotations, paraphrasing, and summarizing. You want to know all that stuff before you start using a citation engine. But citation engines are okay. So I'm going to skip these pages and allow you to utilize them on your own. But I got to tell you, if I were you, I would take the time because it gives you a step-by-step process of how to do citations. Now, also, your citations can be copied from the school library. However, a lot of students make a big mistake when they click the citation, the quotation marks here, to copy a reference so that they can paste it into their paper, they copy and paste the wrong reference. So we'll watch this very short video about how to do it correctly. All right, I'm going to show you the mistake that was made on posting this reference to the reference page. You can see here that merge formatting was chosen. Instead, source formatting should have been chosen. That way, it would have formatted in the correct way. As you can see, this reference, the first line is indented and the second line is not. And in reality, as I said earlier in the video, the first line of a reference should not be indented and the succeeding lines should be indented. So I should have chosen merge formatting. So if you paste from the library, from a library source or a library journal, use a source formatting. However, sometimes that messes up also. Just always remember that the first line should not be indented and all the succeeding lines should. So if it gets formatted, if it gets pasted wrong, just make sure you make that correction. All right, let's keep going. We're going to finish up this video with the easy way to create in-text citations and sources. As I said, and this is about using citation generators. And it's fine to use a citation generator, but you must know the rules of how to use citations, where to place them and when to place them before you can even use a generator, or otherwise using a generator is just a waste of your time. So let's watch this video. It's one that I created earlier, so as you can see, it's before I became a doctor, is when I was a professor, but the same rules apply, so it should really be beneficial to you to watch this video. So please enjoy. Hey students, Professor Lorenzo here, and thanks for watching this video. You're going to love this one because this is going to make your life a lot easier. What I'm about to show you is how to create APA or any type of citation the easy way using technology. It allows you to do it in a way that it's always right and you never have to stress about whether it was posted correctly. It also allows you to do it quickly without having to know all the various rules in your brain. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is start off with where is it? What's known as a citation generator. This particular one is called EasyBib. Now there's quite a few of them out there, so you can find whichever one you prefer. Make sure you don't pay for it. Make sure you use a free citation generator because you're not going to use it enough to where you should have to pay for it. Mine is paid for, also because I use it every day. But they're great. They're really great for creating citations. The one that we're using here is called EasyBib. I'm going to log into my EasyBib account just so you can see what the page looks like. And you'll see right there I have several different lists that I've been working on. But we're going to do APA since we use APA in this class. We're going to do APA. So there's my APA citation generator. I already have some stored in there, but I'm going to go out and look for another one to show you how we do this. Now, what I'm working on is a paper here. It's a summary of a written text called Let Teenagers Try Adulthood by Leon Botstein. And I'm going to find Leon Botstein's article. Here it is. It's from Time Magazine. And what I want to do first, because I know I'm going to be using a quote from here, and I know I'm going to have to include it in my reference page, I'm going to go ahead and input Leon's article into my citation engine. So I'm copying the web address. I go back to EasyBib APAC, create citation, click create citation. You can choose all types of different sources here. There's probably, I don't know, 30 of them here. This particular one is a website. If it was a book, you use a book. You just click on book, a journal, and so on and so on and so on. But we're going to use website. We're going to paste the web address in there. So after pasting the web address there, I click search, find the article. There it is. Let teenagers try adulthood. I know it's the right article because it has Botstein there, the author's last name. I'm going to click cite, and it will open up. And if there's anything missing, it gives me the opportunity to input it. However, as you can see, it correctly pulled up the article. It's got the contributor's name or the author's name, the web address, the year it was published, and also the date I accessed it. So I'm going to click complete citation, and it's going to paste itself over here. And there you go. I can copy either the in-text citation or the citation itself to be input into my reference page. Now I'm going to go to this article, and what I'm going to do is actually find the article. I want to post or paste a quote from the article into my paper. So let's go to the first sentence right there. I'm going to copy that, go back to my paper, and of course, because I'm introducing in his article, Let Teenagers Try Adulthood, Leon Botstein, and to do this the right way, parentheses, the year published was 1999, comma, and then here comes my quotation. Plug my quotation in there. Let me just make some space here for the quotation. Boom. Paste. Didn't paste correctly, so you want to do A to paste just the text. Then I'll get rid of the period there, put my quotation. Remember, the in quotation mark, the period goes after the in-text citation. So now I'm going to go back here to, let's make sure we're on APA 7. That's where we are. You notice that I used APA 7 here. And I'm going to copy my in-text citation. Click there, copy, go back to my paper, and right after the quotation, boom, there it is. Make sure I put my period, and I'm all good to go. And obviously this sentence doesn't make sense. Just so I make it make sense. There's my quotation. Now, when it comes time for me to create my my reference page, all I need to do is go down to the blank page. Go create myself a blank page. Right. Go back to EasyBib, and I want to now. I've got about 10 or maybe 12 sources here. I'm going to post the entire reference page. So I click Export All, and it asks me where do I want to export it to. Microsoft Word. Click Export. It downloads it. I open up the download, and there's my reference page. It's checking for viruses first. Make sure that there are none. Since I pasted this from the internet. So I'm going to copy it, and boom, go back to my paper, and there's my reference page, all formatted correctly. There you go. All right. So I hope that video was useful for you, as well as the additional information I've shared in the earlier portion of the video. Remember, using a citation generator is fine, but it's useless if you don't know the rules, the APA 7th edition rules, and you don't know, what all these terms mean. And that's why I've placed this video, that makes it a lot easier for you at the end, of this, tutorial. So, that will be it. I did, provide some, the link to the web page, the, Purdue OWL web page, because it gives you even more information about APA 7th edition. But again, as I said earlier, you can find it all in the library too. So that concludes this tutorial. Hopefully it made your life easier. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.